way to be prepared. Episode 57. And this week we do have Katie. Last week we had Todd.
Yeah,
Um,
back.
Todd said when he gets back to Costa Rica, he wants to do another one so he can sit out
Oh, in the gorgeous weather.
rainforest behind him and baby monkeys and all
Oh,
that
baby
stuff.
monkeys.
Oh yeah, he sends me pictures all the time. It's pretty cool. So this week, episode 57, Mark Manson has a podcast called Solved. And I always get an email on Mondays, and then he'll say what the topic's going to be. And the
Mm-hmm.
topic was why we stay in bad relationships. And the thing that he said is, here's something most people get wrong about toxic relationships. They assume the people who stay are naive or weak and just don't see what's happening. But it's usually the opposite. It's the smart, emotionally aware people who get stuck the longest. And there are very specific psychological reasons why. So, the psychological reasons why. And when he did this, oh, I gotta get past all my pictures of Ian and being in Denver.
Oh,
Oh yeah, they got to Denver in 3 days. Actually, they got there last night. So the psychological reasons, the number one that they start with, okay, and they used a case study when they did these guys are actually pretty funny. And their case study that they would refer to was Johnny Depp and Amber Heard.
oh, okay.
And the reason that was is, and this is what goes into the first, okay, the first psychological reason that people stay in bad relationships is normalization from early life. So Johnny Depp had an abusive mother,
Mm-hmm.
physically abusive.
Mm-hmm.
Amber Heard had a physically abusive father.
Mm-hmm.
That behavior was normalized to them at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they saw when they
Mm-hmm.
were, that's what they grew up with. And so past family dynamics can make dysfunction feel normal, lowering red flags.
Mm-hmm.
So if you never saw your father hit your mother, or you never were hit by your mother or hit by your father, if that was to happen to you in a romantic relationship, you would immediately be like, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
like, no way. But
Yep.
because that behavior was normalized, you don't react in the same way.
This is true.
You hit me, I'm going to whack you back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, because, their relationship apparently was physical.
Yes. Did you see that
And
trial? Did you watch any of that trial? Wow, that was crazy.
the trial was for defamation, right? Because she wrote an article
Yeah,
saying that she had been a victim of abuse.
yeah. But
And
the
he,
whole thing was just such a
and he
performance.
fired back that he had been as well.
Yeah.
And then the defamation because she exposed him, I guess. So he won.
Yes, he did.
He won.
Mm-hmm.
So that is normalization in early life. Your family dynamics determine what you think is a is how relationships go.
Right.
Okay. So that's number one. Number two, Mark Manson refers to it as the identity trap.
Okay.
It can also be called identity entanglement,
Okay.
where your interests may converge. So you think that you have things in common. Oh, we both like this, we both like that. But I guess it's not long before that becomes codependency.
Mm-hmm.
And then the identity trap is this person, when the relationship is getting toxic, either person or both, who knows, are saying to themselves, well, I can't leave. Who would I be without so and so? Who
Yep. Very
would I
common
be?
too. Yep.
You know? So you start to question, well, I mean, some people get their identity from their job, some people get their identity
Right.
from their relationship. Um, some people go to therapy and realize that your identity is what you build for yourself and that
Mm-hmm.
you shouldn't rely on other things for it. Other things can be part of who you are, but they shouldn't be who you are. And like you and I there was an episode we had long time ago, when we were talking, when I said, you know, the songs out there like, how am I supposed to live without you? Or when you see these movies, you're my everything, you're
Yep.
my breath, you're my that. It shouldn't be that all consuming. That's a red flag. That's a red flag.
Usually doesn't pan out well.
No, it can be romantically conveyed that this person has great meaning to you,
Mm-hmm.
but I can't live without you, or you're everything, you're my everything. Who would I be without?
Yeah.
Bad, bad, bad. Also, on some level, very manipulative,
Well, I
right?
mean, it isn't really about the other person, is it? It's about you.
Well, then, then you get into these, I read a lot of articles. Just because I enjoy doing it. Articles have really replaced books for me. I don't know why that is,
Hmm.
but we've also mentioned this briefly, if you break up with me, I'm going to kill myself,
Hmm.
right? Bad, bad,
Yeah.
toxic, bad.
Hmm.
Okay, the next one. They call this the slot machine effect.
Okay.
And it's also can be recalled unpredictable rewards. Okay. Intermittent affection or kindness works like a slot machine, creating an addictive emotional cycle.
Yeah.
We had such a good night last night,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
And then abuse, 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 abuse.
Hmm.
Oh, we had a good time at that party. Um, Mark Manson said that in toxic romantic relationships, because that's really what they were focusing on, the good times are almost more dangerous than the bad.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
So, slot machine effect. You get a temporary high.
Dopamine hit. That's why a lot of toxic people in relationships will love bomb first because that is what they want you to be accustomed to. And then they slowly take it away. And to the point where you have nothing except these little crumbs or the hope of that next jackpot kind of thing. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So that's the slot machine effect.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another one, fear of change. This he also, I believe, puts under the category of like cognitive dissonance. So one of the comments he makes is when people are really deep in it and they know something's wrong, right?
Yeah.
But they say to themselves, well, this is fine for now because change is hard. So this is fine for now. And so the uncertainty of life after leaving can feel scarier than the known pain.
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
So that's
Yeah,
like, well,
that's
you
why
get
I do a lot when people have finally got out of toxic relationships and they're moving through the next thing and the next thing and they're overwhelmed by selling the house or this or that. I always take them back to that point where they thought they never could leave. Because I'm like, if you can do that, then you can do anything. So,
personal example that we'll get to. Okay, the next one is sunk cost fallacy. And this, I think, might have kept me in mind.
okay.
People cling to the relationship because of the time, energy, and emotions already invested,
Oh, yep.
right? I
Yep.
mean, you get involved in a relationship, say it's a marriage, say you're 10, 15 years in.
Yep.
I remember somebody saying to me when I made it known that I was separated and I was getting a divorce, and by the time that I did that, we had been married for 18 years. Somebody said to me, and it wasn't like they were against what I was doing, but they said, well, don't you want to make it to 20? Don't you want to try to make it to 25?
Hmm.
And I was like, you want me to stay in this for an anniversary milestone? And I
That's weird.
remember saying, I'm making a very informed decision. I don't need any more time
That's
to
weird.
decide.
That's a weird thing to say.
You know what though, Katie?
Hmm.
Some people have that, they have that view,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah.
stick it out to the 40th anniversary. Stick it out to 50. Come on, that's the golden one. Like, what? Another 30 years of misery to have
Yeah,
a party? I can have a
yeah,
party now, a divorce party.
a
That's the
divorce.
kind of party I wanted to have. So that's the sunk cost fallacy. And I couldn't listen to the entire thing. I kind of went for the highlights because it was 2 hours long. His
Right.
podcasts are very long. Sometimes they're 4 hours long.
Wow.
And I don't know. I mean, you have to listen to that in pieces. So when I was going through these headings of these, main points, I didn't come across anywhere where he mentioned having kids. So that's another factor. And that I really think he was kind of focusing on relationships that maybe didn't have kids and stuff like just the two
Okay.
people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kids are a factor, as we know.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 6, social and cultural pressure. Expectations from friends, family, or society
Oh,
can make leaving feel shameful
yeah.
or wrong.
Like the don't you want to make it till 50? Sorry, I keep dropping this bag. Don't mean
Hmm.
to. And then all my business cards keep falling out.
Well,
So
I'll
yeah,
tell you. Yeah,
yeah.
I'll tell you a big one. I'll tell you
Okay.
a big one. Um, when you're married to someone or you've been with someone for a long time, and you've cultivated a group of friends that are all other couples, they don't want the social ecosystem
Oh yeah.
disrupted.
Yeah. Who we
Well, now we
the
got to choose. Now we got to choose someone. Now
yeah.
we got to choose someone. Oh,
Yep.
now we can't take that camping trip every summer like we always did. Like, but that affects people.
Mm-hmm.
They think and they go, well, wow, these people aren't approving of this. I must be making a mistake,
Yeah.
right? I'm getting this pushback
Yeah.
from these other people who, by the way, I'm here to tell you, again, personal example, when it finally came out that we were getting divorced, and a couple of different people said, like, oh, but when we hung out, it was so great. And I said to the one person, I said, when did we all hang out? When did we all hang out? She's like, well, when we go to like concerts and like go to out to the bars and like at a party. I'm like, all social events. And when we walked into the bar or we walked into the party or we went to the concert, what used to happen? And she said, she's like, he would immediately separate himself from you and go off and hang out with other people. I said, yeah. And
Mm.
how many times did I leave early to go get pay the babysitter and he stayed?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know what's going on behind someone's closed doors.
Yeah.
And it's foolish for you to assume,
Mm-hmm.
just like they don't know what's going on behind your closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
So a social, um, how you convey yourself socially with your spouse. There were times we got to a bar, to a party, we'd fought like insane in the car on the way there.
Yeah.
And then you walk inside and go, oh, hey, everybody. Like
Yeah.
these people, it's wrong to try to do that to people.
Yeah.
It's wrong. You don't know what you're talking about.
No?
But people, again, it can influence them, right?
Sure.
Okay. So the last one, and obviously this is a biggie. Hope for redemption.
Oh yeah.
Belief that the partner will change
Will
keeps people holding
change.
on,
Yep.
even against all the evidence.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those are the 7, right? Um, and I liked the fact, people who stay and who stay for longer than they should.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't because they're weak. It's
Mm-mm.
because their mind is going a million miles an hour. You
Yeah.
are questioning it every single day.
Yeah.
And it could be the man that's toxic. It could be the woman that's toxic. It could be a same sex relationship. It can be anything. Okay. If these things are what is holding you back, like you said, think of the alternative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Think of the alternative. I do that sometimes. I play that game, right?
Yeah.
where I say to myself, okay, if I would have hung in, what would my life look like right now?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here to tell you, it would be awful.
Yeah.
You know why? Because it was awful back then. If I would have stayed, the awfulness just would have continued.
And he hasn't changed. So yeah. Yeah.
Well, as you know, right? That was another thing that I was thinking about when I was reading. This wasn't this actually wasn't the reason I did this. The attack that I got
Mm-hmm.
a couple of days ago
Yeah.
after sending a very innocuous text that I was going to store my son's items that he didn't need to go on his trip to California. I was going to store them here since the ex is his living situation is now
In flux, right? Because
in
there's a break,
flux.
right?
And I said, and I just said, since you don't know where you're going to land, I will take whatever it is that Ian doesn't need to go to California.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't even tell you what part of that set him off. I couldn't even tell you. So, like, the fact that that still exists now, 7, 8, 9 years later,
Yep.
tells me that is just who he is.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have anything to, well, I mean, it has some stuff to do with the fact that I wanted to divorce him, obviously, but that just shows me that's just who you are.
Yep. Yep.
So the hope for redemption, the slot machine effect, the sunk cost fallacy,
Mm-hmm.
we're applying these principles or these ideas. We're applying these to a person who's not going to change.
Right.
He's not going to change. She's not going to change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And this is who they are. And I do believe that people can evolve and recognize certain things and work on themselves and atone for behavior. But when the behavior is that extreme, and I'm not even talking about physical abuse, right?
Right.
But when the behavior is that extreme, no, they're not going to change. That's who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be who they are because of normalization. That's what they grew up with. That's how they saw relationships worked. That's how
Mm-hmm.
their parents were, so
Mm-hmm.
to them, that's how they work. They're not going to change.
Right.
And, you know, like you said to the people that you work with, when they're trying to work through the aftermath and everything, think about the alternative.
Yeah.
Think about the alternative.
Yep.
If you were still there, right? If you were still in it, all the things that made you unhappy or miserable or whatever, if
Yep.
you hadn't left, they would still be going on because it's normalized. There was
Mm-hmm.
no way one day your partner or spouse was going to wake up and say to you, you know what? I'm really sorry. I've been a total jerk for the last 20,
Yeah.
25 years.
Yeah.
We're totally going to turn over a new leaf and
Yeah.
it's going to be awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, aren't you excited? That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
It's not. And Mark Manson, I think he's so interesting, but this is really nothing new, right?
Yeah.
This is nothing new.
No.
Um, this has existed within therapy sessions, within divorce court, within, whatever. This isn't new. And, I read a lot of, for pure enjoyment, I read a lot of advice columns
Mm-hmm.
and because they're really interesting. And I read the ones through slate.com.
Yep.
They have one for parenting, they have one for financial, they have one for job life, for your career, workplace. And then they have the, relationship ones.
Okay.
And some of the questions that come in from some people are amazing because you as you read it, you can hear it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like and so it'll be somebody who says, hi, I've been married for this long. We now have a 4-month-old and um I'm still on maternity leave. But it kind of seems to me like my husband's like not really involved. Like he'll just come home and like say hi to the baby and then go off and like, play video games or do this or do that or whatever. And she'll be and the person be like, am I being oversensitive or is this how it is? Like, is this how it works? Like, I'm not sure, and the person will be working from home or something too, or whatever, right? And the advice columnist, and she's really good. And she'll say, okay, what I'm hearing,
Mm-hmm.
right, from your description, because they're usually pretty long. She's like, this is what I'm hearing, dun 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 dun. And then she's like, and I normally do not advocate divorce.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't, but she'll say, but I think this is a great opportunity for you to really take a look at your relationship. And she's only once or twice said, really, I think a good step right now would be to separate for a while and see what happens because she knows being at what she does, she
Mm-hmm.
knows these people are divorcing or they're going to end up being miserable.
Yeah. You
She
know
knows
what?
the signs.
Sure. And the signs are rarely different. I think even what's really important too, you keep saying, that person's not going to change, they're not going to change. The other
Okay.
factor is more often than not, if they choose to stay engaged in that behavior, it'll get worse. It'll get worse. We've got it's all over the uh well, it's all over the news, but there is a domestic violence murder in Tonawanda. Um
In the
and
town or like
yeah,
city? In the
last
town of Tonawanda?
yeah,
By
yeah,
my mom?
yeah. On Cleveland.
Like over by
Maybe
like
it's North
Delaware.
Maybe it's North Tonawanda. But,
Huh.
people are, you see the stuff on it's our quiet neighborhood, they were a nice couple and and it was a violent death. He bludgeoned her to death.
Ugh.
So that doesn't just happen. It's an escalation to that point. So that means there was so much more that nobody else saw, and that's another reason why you got to leave, because you need to leave because you will start normalizing the behavior. And the other thing I'm surprised he didn't be mentioned in the podcast is the adaptation piece, where we just adapt and adapt and adapt and adapt. And it used to just be like, knock it off. And then it was like, knock it off. And then it was like, and then now it's, you're being killed, but you have adapted, because everything happened. Maybe it was over a period of 3 years, maybe it was 10 years, whatever. But especially if the relationships are physical,
Mhm.
statistics show us that that doesn't go away. It gets worse. It gets
And then you're
worse.
walking around on eggshells,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You're walking around on eggshells because you don't know what's going to set the person off, or you're walking around on eggshells because you just got hit and you don't want to do anything to make it worse,
Mm-hmm.
or you're keeping people in these situations, whether it's male or female, what starts to happen in these situations that are toxic, the person who is not the aggressor, but the one that's receiving the aggression
Yeah.
starts to shrink themselves.
Yep. They
They
do.
start to take up less space. Is it still doing that thing to my face?
No.
Okay, good. Making a very important point. They start to shrink themselves. They start to take up less space. They start to not see friends anymore. They start to not see family anymore. They start to quiet down, quiet down, quiet down. And that is why when this was started, because this is really kind of going back to our roots here,
Mm-hmm.
when this was started, and with the woman that I started it with from work, we called it living out loud because she said she didn't want to be quiet anymore.
Yeah. 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 Yep.
So it's you're reclaiming your life,
Yeah.
okay? And it's a process. You're reclaiming your identity as to who you were before this person. You're reclaiming your space.
Mhm.
You are also, and I will attest to this, when you make the move and you get out of it and you're doing all the things, and you know, and people want to support you, but the thing is, a lot of people don't understand if they haven't been, and I don't mean that unkindly,
Yeah. No, they
but
just really don't. They just don't. Yeah. Yeah.
because they haven't been involved in it. And sometimes you will find yourself in the direct aftermath, or even 8 years later,
Mm-hmm.
getting a little short with people
Mm-hmm.
when something happens years later and they say, it's just words. Like, why are we even giving this any, airtime? Why, like, I had to make that statement to someone close to me the other day. I said, well, you've never been through this, so you wouldn't know.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
said, you don't know what 8 years of contact
Yep.
that is ridiculous has been. And people will say, well, just block them. Block 'em. Can't block them. I have kids with them.
Mm-hmm.
Can't block them. I have to keep a record
Yep.
of it.
Yep.
That's why I can't block them.
Yep.
So I read it. I sit there and go, okay, he's on a tangent. He's on a tear. He was in a rage last week,
Yeah.
and it was new. It was way worse
Well,
than
I
it ever
think this is exactly what you were talking about before. You were concerned about this breakup.
told you.
Yep. And that this was gonna really stir him up.
He doesn't have the focus of
Yeah.
her, the buffer of her anymore. I don't have the buffer of her. He doesn't have the distraction of her.
Yeah.
So guess who's back in the spotlight,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But that's part of it. You're getting out of a toxic relationship doesn't mean it's going to be over immediately.
Oh no. I mean, if you're lucky and you don't have any other connections to them, like kids and stuff, um, then you can heal from it more consistently because you're not being re-traumatized. The person's just gone, but if they're still in your life because of whatever the reasons are, you have to find a different way to heal because they're still there.
And it's unfortunate too when you do have children, because children will get weaponized.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
when these interactions happen, and like I told you, I just had it. I just absolutely had it. And I didn't go super low. I didn't name call, but I definitely made a few points.
Yep.
Um, and and of course, I don't want this to be about me, but like in these situations, they'll weaponize the kids. So they'll say, well, I'm going to tell the boys this and I'm going to tell the boys
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
And I said, you know what? You can show them this for all I care.
Yeah.
I said, show them.
And that's how you take the power away, is you say, and
Go
so,
ahead.
because if they
And
don't get
then
it now, I mean,
my
kids
boys know.
get it. They might buy into the toxic parent for a while because maybe they're getting something out of it or whatever, but eventually they see it. They see it.
So I think it's important when someone leaves a toxic relationship
Hmm.
for whatever their reasons may be, but they're finally making the move. If there are no children involved, if there's no shared property or, money, assets, liabilities, all that
Right.
crap, yeah, no contact,
Hmm.
no contact,
Yep, I would
and
absolutely agree.
walk away,
Hmm.
run away. as
Mhm.
fast as you can.
Consider it a
And
blessing that you don't have anything attached. Yeah.
yes, get a support system around you, be proud of yourself for doing it. Oh my gosh, but unfollow them on whatever you're following them on, block them, all the stuff. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
even potentially, I left Facebook.
Yep.
I left Facebook because that so then what sometimes these people do is and then they go after your friends,
Oh, yeah.
right? And they follow them or friend them or because they try to keep a connection. That's
Yes.
the most important thing. You've
Yep.
got to break the connection and it's got
Yep.
to be across the board,
Yep.
not just your cell phone. It's got to be everything,
Mm.
email,
I
what
think
else?
you can, and I go back to whatever the relationship is, if the person is toxic, if it's a family relationship, whatever it is, you can't leave these tendrils of links and things connected. You just can't. I mean, and it's hard because of whatever, um, especially like with family members and things like that, people feel guilty or whatever, but that's really the only way. It
And you
really,
um, also too, and I put this in writing. Um, I did. I was like, I'm gonna do this. Like I sent my ex after his
his tirade. Hmm.
rage filled thing. I sent him a text and I said, I formally request that you never contact me again,
Hmm.
unless it's an absolute emergency with the children who are now 23, 21, and almost 19.
Hmm.
Um, I said the amount of anger you have after this long is concerning.
Hmm.
And I said, I think, and I wasn't being mean. I wasn't taking a shot. I said, I think you should seek help
Hmm.
so you do not live the rest of your life like this.
Hmm.
And I 100% meant that.
Yeah.
So cutting all contact. Now, there was something, and I'll do this quick because I know you have to,
I know. I got a hard
you have
stop.
to go, get a head step. Just a couple of things, recognize the patterns,
Yep.
right? Recognize the patterns inside your relationship that aren't working for you. Reclaim your identity, you
Hmm.
know, start doing the hobbies that you loved doing, um, and identify values that are yours and yours alone, right? Not
Hmm.
intermixed with the person you're
And
with.
that's so important. One of the things I do in couples counseling when people are getting together, I mean, or they're struggling, is a value chart.
Mhm.
What are your values that are just yours and do they align? And it helps
Just
people
you,
get back. You got to find
just
yourself.
you.
Yep.
Um, break the reward cycle, the
Yeah.
slot machine thing.
Yeah.
Notice when affection follows conflict. It's a manipulation loop.
Yeah.
Challenge the fear of change,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Visualize your life 1 year after leaving.
Yep.
What could it possibly look like? Let go of the sunk cost. Just,
Yeah.
cut your losses and go,
Yep.
basically, right? Um, reduce external pressure. Limit conversations with people who guilt or shame you for leaving.
Yeah.
And then test the hope for change.
That's the hope for change. Yep.
And I love this. If promises aren't met, like promises you've made to yourself, maybe, if promises aren't met, treat that as data, not as an excuse.
Nice. That's good. Yeah.
That's a good one. So I really wanted to do that because I my sister and I were talking the other day. I don't know how we got on the topic. And she's like, Ellen, I see these people in these 30, 40-year marriages. She's like, and they're miserable.
Miserable.
She's like, and they just stay and stay. And someone could listen to me right now and be like, well, it's too hard to go. It's too expensive to divorce. And I'm here to tell you, it's way expensive to divorce.
Yeah.
and it'll affect you for years.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
But isn't sometimes your happiness just a little bit more important than a financial hit? And like my attorney said to me when I was divorcing, because you really worry about it. She's like, you can always make more money. You can
Yeah.
always make more money. Don't use that as an excuse if you are really that miserable.
Mhm.
And there's always the potential that the divorce proceedings or process could be better than you think.
Right.
Um, it can also be worse than you think. You don't know till you get into it. But you hear that from people. Well, why divorce now? We've been together for this long, we'll just like keep going. Because it's your life.
Mhm.
It's your life. No, I don't care if you're 65 and you're married for 30 years. If you're unhappy, don't say to yourself, I'm 65. I'll probably only live to like 80. Like, what's another 15 years? It's 15 years. That's what it is.
Yeah.
15 years is 15 years. That's a whole lot of time you could be doing stuff that you're enjoying.
Mhm.
And don't worry about your kids. Sorry, don't. They're going to be okay.
They will.
Kids are resilient.
And it does more damage to stay in a loveless and sometimes hateful marriage to your kids than it does to divorce. It really does.
My kids appreciate it.
Yep.
They appreciate it. And they're not just giving me lip service.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
Because trust me, we've had many, many conversations. And they didn't start doing drugs, and their grades didn't plummet,
Right.
and they didn't start knocking over liquor stores
Mhm.
and skipping school, right? If anything,
Yeah.
they did better.
Yeah. Well, and that's usually the case. That is usually the case
Oh,
because the home is no longer painful, you
that's
know?
right. It's no longer contentious and full of conflict. So if anybody's interested, Mark Manson's podcast is called Solved.
So,
And there's a different like issue each week, and it's he and another gentleman whose first name is Drew. I don't know what his background is. They have great conversations.
mhm.
The content can he it's rated as for mature audiences because they
Mhm.
swear. They
Mhm.
swear. Mark Manson's always sworn. It's the title of his first bestseller. I mean, like, so, but he's great. He's great. And I love that they call it solved because they're like, we solved this for
This
you. Like,
dilemma.
listen to us, right? Okay, well, that's episode 57.
That's episode 57. All right.
I think coming up, I think we should do menopause.
Mhm.
Sorry, any males who are listening. We have to. We have to. It's so huge.
Mhm.
It affects half the population. And I wish somebody would have told me when I was 20 or 25. Here are some of the whack ass things that can happen to you when you're going through perimenopause and menopause.
You should see if Angel wants to come back for that one.
Of course she will. Oh, yes, because she'll want to talk about her treatment.
Yep. Yeah.
I'll tell her for sure.
Okay.
All right.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Talk to you soon.